Hello folks, okay, I'm hopefully going to get rounds 4, 5 and 6 completed in this video. So this is rounds 1 to 3 and we're finished with the cranberry. And when we're doing this round, it's important to understand the anatomy of a stitch. But anyway, we'll get started. So I'm going to start again in my new little way and put a slip stitch on my hook, and this again negates the necessitation of using a chain as well as a double crochet to start. So what we're doing is we are going to be inserting our hook at the tip of our petals here, and this hole I'm creating with this, I know it's hard because the cranberry is quite dark, but this hole here is the top of this stitch here, which is stitch number 1 of the 4 in the actual previous round. So that's exactly where I'm going to be putting my hook to start. So put my hook in there, and in this particular position we need to be doing a double crochet. Okay, and then we are going to be making a petal which consists of 5 treble fan. So what we're doing is skipping this stitch here, which is stitch number 2, and we're going to be working in stitch number 3, but because the top of our stitch is just off to the right if you're right-handed, and it's the opposite to be true if you're left-handed, the stitch will be just off to the left, but it's just off to the right because we're working on the right side. That is where we're going to be putting our hook when we do our first treble, which is the center of that group of 4, and we're doing 5 trebles in here to do the first petal. Sorry folks, oh, you see, accidentally did a half, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, so that's 1 fan, and then we're going into the top of this stitch here, which is directly above the point, and doing a double to complete that 1 petal. So now we're going to do the same around again. So that's stitch 1, that's stitch 2, we're now going into stitch 3, technically speaking, to do the next fan. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 more makes 5. So that's another petal complete, double at that point there. Okay, so then yarn over, so we're in stitch 1, we're skipping stitch 2, we're going into stitch 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then again double. It's technically stitch 1, but it's directly above the point of that petal. So yarn over, miss stitch 2, sorry that's one of my ends, and into stitch 3. So in we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Double in stitch 1, which is directly above the point. Continue, so we miss or skip stitch 2, and we continue to do a fan of 5 trebles into stitch 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Double in number 1 of the next lot of 4, yarn over into number 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, double above the point, yarn over, miss stitch 2 into stitch 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, double and stitch 1, yarn over, and final petal into the 3rd stitch of this group of 4, 4 and 5. I'm going to finish here, so pull the yarn through, and I'm going to join at the top of the first double. And as you can see, because we haven't had to use the chain one, they all look the same. There isn't one that's more bulky than the other, which tends to happen when you're using the chain one method to join. So I'm just, because we also don't want this to be an extra chain, I'm just going to pull that one quite tight to join those all together. Now, because we are not working any further into this petal and it's going to be on display, I will be threading through the back of the petals, dearie me, I'm having one of them, the petals, to get rid of our tails and weave them in. I will do a bit more, but I just want to crack on with the rounds, because this is a bit more time consuming than just simply weaving in via the other method. But you don't want this to be visible really, so I tend to weave it through the back and keep it out of the way, but I will weave it quite a way around so that it doesn't come out. And always hook into your doubles at the bottom, because we will be working into them. So I'm not going to completely weave that end in, because I want to crack on to the next round. So the next round we're changing to Lily. And this is where I think a few folks have created, they haven't created problems, but unfortunately their petals have been worked on the wrong side rather than the right side. So we'll cover that now. So we first of all need to make some chains for the next row of petals to be worked into. So again, I'm using my new method here to join, and we need to join at one of the double crochets at the back. So I'm just going to fold, so I've got the right side facing, and I know the right side's facing because all of these V's at the top of each stitch is facing me, and that tells me that that is the front of this stitch. But just so you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to fold that over, so this is now the back, and this here, this V here, is the other side of the double crochet, which is here. So that's the double crochet at the top of the petal, and we just need to identify the back of that for us to put our hook in. So I'll put the hook in now. So we're collecting both strands of yarn, we'll yarn over hook, and we're doing a double crochet. And then on this one we need to work 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4 chains, fold the flower over. Again, it might not be easy to identify, so either use a smaller hook or your darning needle just to pick those 2 strands of that double up on the wrong side. Put your hook in both, complete a double crochet, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're coming on to the next stitch. Again, just pull them up so you can identify them easily. In, double crochet, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, then fold over the next 2 petals so you can identify that quite clearly. You go in there, yarn up, double crochet, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to do this all the way around. Now that's my tail that I need to continue to feed in later. So under both of them, double crochet, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, rotate your flower and bend your petals over so you can identify the stitches that it is that you want and loosen them enough for you to get your hook in, double crochet, chain 4, 1, 2, let's split, 2, 3 and 4, and continue around. Double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, bend that over, identify where it is you need to be, hook in, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're not changing yarns, so I am actually going to slip stitch. I know it's rare for me to do this, but we are slip stitching in there, and that completes round 1. Now if you do it with the right piece of work facing, it can hopefully prevent the petals being crocheted facing the wrong way. There is nothing wrong with doing this piece of work, the chain piece of work, on the wrong side, but it's about remembering to flip your work over the right way to do round 6. Sorry, I had to remember what round I was on there, sorry. So I'm just turning this round because I'm going to weave this tail in now from the original joining of this colour, so that I know I'm going to crochet over it and I don't have to worry about it later, so it's not a difficult weave in this one. So I'll just very quickly do it. Okay. Because you're technically crocheting over these chains, it really doesn't matter whether you have the right side of your work facing you when you do them or not. It's this next part where you must make sure that your work is facing the right way so that your petals are right side facing. So we'll just finish that off and we'll continue on to round 6. So there. So I've still got the right side of my piece of work facing. So what we need to do now is start round 6. So round 6, we're chaining 1 to get some height, and we're doing a repeated action so that we've got 8 petals around. So this is the action, the first, and we're working into the space here, not into the chain, working into the space. So we're doing 1 double, yarn over for a half treble or a half double if you're American terminology, 4 trebles, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then we're doing a half treble and a double, and that completes 1 petal in that 1 chain space. And then we're moving on to the next chain space. We're not using this double here at all. So it's hook in for a double, half a treble, 4 trebles, 1, 2, 3 and 4, a half treble and a double. Okay, so that's 2 petals now complete. So we've got another 6 to do, so you just keep moving around, just bend your petals forward, it's not going to hurt them in any way. So 1 double, a treble, a half treble, 4 trebles, 2, 3, 4, a half and a double. So, and then we just move around into the next space, so we do a double, half treble, 4 trebles, a half treble, and I'll just make sure I do crochet over that tail, and a double. So, and then we just keep going around the same pattern repeated around. Double, half treble, 4 trebles, 1, 2, 3 and 4, half treble and a double. Next one, double, half a treble, 4 trebles, 1, 2, 3, 4, a half treble and a double. Like so. Move around, 2 left to do. Double, half treble, 4 trebles, 1, 2, 3, 4, a half treble and a double, and last petal I'm doing a double, a half treble, 4 full trebles, that's 1, 2, 3 and 4, a half treble and a double, and that's that round complete. We're not using this lily colour anymore, so we'll just snip that off, pull through, use our needle, and again we don't want this to be a V that we see or a stitch that we see, so pull quite tight down into the last stitch. Now again, we're not working into any more of this petal, so I will weave that through the back, but just so you can see once we flatten it all out that we now have 2 rows of petals. So this video covered rounds 4, 5 and 6, and we now have 2 lovely rows of petals. So I'll be covering rows 7, 8 and 9 in the next video, folks. I'll tidy all these ends up in the meantime, and I'll speak to you soon. Happy hooking!